Where are they?
No, some people interstate. Senior.
Hey, so we're live now on YouTube, it's saying.
I'm doing it now, yeah.
Test.
Are we live on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm trying to do it now, yeah.
Yeah, but we're live on YouTube. It's saying that we're recording now.
He's testing. Are we live, Jun?
Yes.
No,
It says it on my thing.
Yes, that's live. Your screen not sharing.
Yeah, it's live now. So how do I turn it off?
I'm gonna get a drink of water. If we're gonna go live, I'm just gonna go get a drink.
Yeah, me too.
It's live now?
It says it's live.
Okay, live is okay. Yeah. So we probably can start the webinar.
We'll start in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me get a
We got 10 minutes to start, yeah? So basically now it's live, is it?
It says live, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure. How can we tell whether it's live on YouTube?
It says it's live right there.
I'm doing it now. Live on YouTube? Yeah, I'm trying to do it now. Yeah.
Why can't I hear? Did you open up a YouTube, Junyi?
Okay. Testing. John, you look fresh now. Yeah. We want to give you a surprise.
I'm fresh.
Yeah. We want to smash this.
I think you need to turn the live off the YouTube, but if we're ready to start.
Yeah. It's almost ready. It's only 8 minutes.
All right, well, I'll come back on. I'll come back on when you guys are when you guys are ready.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. We are going to start in 10 minutes. Start to see people come in. Hello, everyone. We are waiting for other people to join in. Tonight, we are going to have people from Melbourne, people from Sydney, Gold Coast, Brisbane, from everywhere in Australia. We encourage everyone, if you can, try to watch this on your computer instead of on your phone, so you can get a big screen to look at the latest market data. I will get the link.
Very strong.
John. Yeah, John is doing something now.
We can start the webinar letting people in.
Yeah, already let people in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see.
Yeah. So I'll try to get this on YouTube now.
Welcome, guys. We'll start the webinar 7:05, so another 10 minutes to go. Can you hear us? If you can, please raise your hand. Yeah, I can see people raising hand. All good. Have we used Zoom before? Anyone know how to use Zoom webinar? If you have used Zoom before, please raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll explain how this works. So a few people look saying yes. So today's webinar, we invite a really great guest speaker, but you can feel free to ask any questions. Meanwhile, John might stop in the middle to answer some of the questions. Everyone, please put your question in the Q&A section. So at the bottom of your screen, it should be a chat section. Also, it should be a Q&A section. Make sure you put the questions in the Q&A. I can see Lydia already typed in the Q&A. I thought you are speaking in Mandarin. We can speak Mandarin, but tonight's webinar is actually in English because the speaker invite he speak English. But we'll probably have another one in Mandarin later on if it's on request.
Yeah, we do this once a month. So we provide a market update on a monthly basis.
And we have different topics as well. It's not always about the market. Any interesting topics come up, we'll talk about it as well. So feel free to chat to each other in the chat section, but leave your question in the Q&A. How do you mute? There's some I'm not really sure how to mute at your end. You can mute on your device. Are you using a mobile phone or you're using a computer? Yuan? If you're using your phone, you can simply mute the phone, then the voice will be gone. Computer is the same. You should just mute the device.今天讲的主要是昆士兰的房地产 Southeast Queensland. We talk about Australia in general, but focusing on Southeast Queensland.
How do you feel about the market, Richard?
Myself, it's currently very, very crazy.
Very crazy? Yeah.
I think if you know anyone in real estate, they'll tell you the same. Never seen auction rate this high in Queensland.
Yes, almost 80% now.
Yes,
I remember last year in March or April, auction rate is only like 22, 23%.
Yeah.
Now that means, every 5 property, only 1 property, can get through. And now if people went for auction, auction rate is 80%. That means, 5 properties, 4 of them, they get good price straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see more people's coming online. We'll start in about 5 minutes. Just give a bit more time for people to joining us. And also this is live on YouTube tonight.
Yeah.
Like I said before, this is a relaxed webinar. You can treat it like this. If you have any question, feel free to ask anytime. And I might get John to stop his presentation and answer your questions.
Yeah, if people have any questions, it's great time to talk to John. And John has 19 years experience in property market. And he has seen the market movements, for many, many cycles. I remember last year, he predicted, the market movements. At that time, people were scared because lots of banks, lots of economists mentioned property market, property value is going to drop by 20%, 30%. And I clearly remember John said something at that time, and now it looks like everything becomes true. So I'm very curious to see, what John is going to say now.
Definitely.
Yeah. Put this on WeChat.
Let me ask a question. Yeah, Danny, you're raising your hand. Any questions? Danny? If you have question, you can put in Q&A. Lily is saying, yeah, the market is crazy. It's very often to say $1 million transaction, $1 million sales. Where are you based, Lily? Are you in New South Wales, Victoria, or Queensland? And you are saying you were thinking about investment because the current market status you couldn't get in? Well, we'll get that answer tonight, whether it's a good time to get in or not.
I actually went to auction last week to look at the market. Like the agent told me, the price range is between 800,000 and 1 million. And then I said, if I put 1 million cash offer, is seller happy to sell? The agent said, no. So what they do now is basically to get as many people as possible for the auction to make people say, wow, so many people coming here. And then everyone start to bid. And I see that one property in Sydney is a townhouse in Bondi. It's a townhouse. It's sold for over 6 million. Wow, it's unbelievable.
Well, the other day I saw an article saying there's about 60 or 300 suburbs or 60 suburbs, I can't remember. Median price is going to be over 3 million in New South Wales.
Yeah.
Definitely. I spoke to the real estate agents. They are bringing all the properties possible to the auction to achieve the best result. Normally at the auction, you have the highest selling price. And a lot of buyers, we say currently, they going to auctions without any pre-approval. It's really hot-headed, but that's what some people's doing.
Yeah, I personally think, it's not good to go to the auction at this stage because it's just too hot, the market. When people go to the auction, it's easy to pay, the price above the normal value. So that's what happened in 2015. I think people buy at the peak. Then now, when the Sydney market come back, it's still like just reach what they paid in 2015. So it's not really good to join the auction when the market is very, very hot.
I can see people already start asking questions before we even start. You guys asking, people say don't buy apartment as the value raise is very slow, but since market is heating up, is this a good time or good chance to invest into units or townhouses? We'll get this answered today.
But I think she is experienced investor, because normal people wouldn't ask this kind of question. So I can see, we have people with experience to join our tonight's webinar, and this is a great question. I'm pretty sure John is going to talk about this.
Your question will be answered during the presentation.
But it's a great question. If other people got questions, it's good time to reach out because it's not that easy to have John to present, this in front of people. And tonight is a very good opportunity. What do you think, Lina? What are you doing? You must be very busy. Just come.
Yeah, I just come. I just went to the run with the builder, so it's too busy. Just got home.
Okay. Yeah, so we're about to start soon. Still waiting for people to come in.
We'll start in 1 minute. I'll explain how to use Zoom again, just really briefly. For the people who hadn't used Zoom before, there's a Q&A section. You can, I'm just looking at the questions. I'll get these questions answered. So there's a Q&A section. If you have any question, feel free to ask anytime in the Q&A. Even during the presentation, I might get John to stop to answer your questions. And there's also a chat section. Please do not put your questions in chat. Otherwise, it's very easily to get lost. 7:05. All right, let's get started. So first of all, welcome everyone. My name is Richard. Really brief introduction. I'm a co-founder of Someplace Property Group, and we have Junyi here. He's a co-founder as well, and Lina is one of the co-founders. Say hello to everyone. And we have a very special guest speaker tonight, John Rivera. I'll introduce John later on. So today's agenda, I'll briefly introduce Someplace, who we are. I can see from the attendees, there's a lot of new names haven't come to our webinars before. I'll use probably 2 to 5 minutes to introduce Someplace. Then I'll hand it over to John. It's going to be about 45 minutes of the market update. And then we have some really good exclusive opportunities at the end of the presentation. Okay, like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to put it on Q&A section. We may stop to answer your questions along the way.
Yeah, please make sure everyone stay until the end, because John is going to talk about a great opportunity, like what's happening on the market. So please, everyone, keep online until we finish to get a big surprise in the end.
Once John delve into the presentation, it's a lot of data. It's very sound research. I don't think people want to leave without that, without knowing all of that data. So, without too much chit chat, let's talk about the presentation today. Who we are with Someplace Property Group. We're based here in Brisbane. Our office is in Toowong. So what we do, we help first home buyers to get your first residential property and investors to build a balanced, healthy investment portfolio. How do we do it? We have a proven system, and we offer very good hand-to-hand, holding hand service along the way. So we are not just looking at one simple transaction, it's a whole journey we are looking at. And that's why we have today's webinar. As part of our service, we have these education webinars or seminars every month, consistently providing good value content to our valued clients. And a bit introduction about our team. So we have a team of 16, 15, I lost count of people on the ground every day, researching good opportunities for our clients. So if you have any inquiries or any questions in regards to real estate, especially in Southeast Queensland, feel free to contact us. And then I'll introduce our guest speaker today, John Rivera. John, you there? Yeah, so we are very honored to have John here with us today. John has been in the real estate industry across the globe for more than 19 years this year. We are in 2021. It used to be 18 years last year when we introduced you. Especially in the real estate industry, working with a lot of well-known developers. He was the head of research of Urbis, which is an independent research company. Like I said, all John talks about come from really sound and detailed research of data. I still remember during the pandemic last year, a lot of banks saying the market is going to crash, it's going to drop 20%. We did webinars back then. We still have the recording saying, John, you're saying, no, it's not going to crash. It's going to grow. And it's proven after each crisis. And it's proven to be right. So we are very curious to know what you have to say tonight. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Someplace. Good evening, everybody. Yes, like it's definitely been an interesting journey. Do you want me to share my screen now, Richard?
Yeah, you can start sharing now.
Yeah. Sorry, just 1 second, guys. Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting journey, Richard. I think a lot of people thought I might have been crazy, back in March. Around this time last year, like around March and April, I started doing a lot of, I guess, presentations on the market, talking about what I think was going to happen and what was going to happen with real estate and what did the future look like then. And, we made a lot of predictions. I made a lot of predictions. I'm not going to say that I got them all right because I can't tell the future, but I think I got a number of them right, and the banks, I can't believe how bad the banks got it wrong. You know, like they just, and look, we talked about this, like I said, the government was going to stimulate. They were going to stimulate big. They did that. We said that the house price market was not going to drop. It was probably going to grow because they're going to throw stimulus at it. And on top of that, we talked about migration. You know, we talked about where people are going to live. Why are they going to move? Like, what is happening about that? You know, we talked about jobs and how employment's going to shift. We're going to talk about how people are spending money. Like, we talked about all this. And I think, you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing. It's easy to stay now and say, oh, you know, it's look what happened. But it's harder when you're obviously a year ago trying to talk about this.
Oh.
A lot of people didn't agree at the time, but yeah. I don't know what to say about that now, but you know.
To be honest, back 1 year ago when we first doing those webinars, even myself wasn't 100% sure whether we're going to come out like this hot. But you know.
Yeah. Look, it's been an interesting journey. But look, I'll get started. So guys, look, you know, obviously for me, my whole career is on analyzing the residential market. I feel like I've got one of the best jobs in the world because it's I get to travel. I get to look at basically the one asset class that I'm very passionate about, which is residential property. I've done it in the US. I've obviously recently I haven't been able to travel that much apart from only internally in Australia. But I'm looking forward to getting traveling again. But look, I've worked with many developers. I'm now working with Marquee solely. It's been an interesting year for me as well. So they've obviously ramped up and I've gone more to sort of help them in their investments. You know, but I still work for a number of other clients, but ultimately, you know, that's my background. Look, I've come up with this presentation because, you know, I wanted to explain, you know, what I'm seeing are the three key elements of growth. So if you saw me present last year or even, you know, recently, I was talking about obviously the pandemic, what was happening, you know, what was sort of leading to what this event is now. Okay. And so, look, obviously everybody in the audience, you might be, I think there's obviously some people in New South Wales, some people in Victoria, whatever. I am going to focus very much on Southeast Queensland only because it's easier to talk through right now. And I can sort of show you these fundamentals. But the same thing that I'm talking about Southeast Queensland, you can apply to a localized area, okay? So try to think that, yes, I'm focusing on one case study, but try to think that you can apply this sort of formula and how you can find it going forward, okay? So look, for me, I'm going to be talking a lot about migration, okay? I'm going to talk about affordability, and then I'm going to talk about vacancy. And so you can see here, these are the elements the three elements of growth, as I say right now. If you've seen me present before, I also talk about PI, which is population, infrastructure, and employment. That's a given. You've got to have that. But now it's about demand, it's about the capacity, and it's about the rental. And these three elements are in play right now. And if you actually can find three elements together, this is what I will call a booming market or a market that you want to be investing in. Okay, you want to have all three elements. In their own right, these elements can actually play together, okay? They can play together singly and have an effect, but when they're all combined, they create movement. So guys, I want to explain the boom cycles, okay? So what I've got here is I've got the sales cycle or a median house price over time. If you saw me present last year, I always go in history. I like history, you know, Richard. If you understand history, you can understand the future, okay? So you can see from December 82 to December 2020, this is the median house price for Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Okay, Brisbane being the maroon, Sydney being the blue, and Melbourne being the green. Okay, what it shows you is where our house prices are at the end of last year. Okay, and I know the data is a little bit old at the moment, probably coming up to now February data, early March data, and they're already growing more. You know, Sydney's growing again, Melbourne's growing again, and obviously Brisbane is really growing. Now, it has got to do a lot with obviously how much money is in our economy. We're so fat with money, okay? There's a lot of people spending, and there's a lot of other things that we're going to take into consideration. I'm going to focus on Brisbane, guys, okay, in this one, and just show you the boom history, boom times for Brisbane. So we haven't had a boom in Brisbane for 13 years. Okay. Melbourne, Sydney, gone. They already had it. They had another one in that time, but 13 years. So, you know, if we look at the booms, 1987 to 1990, you know, in 87, the house price was 55,000 in Greater Brisbane. And then by the end of June 1990, it was 106,000. So it grew 90%. Okay, that was a boom. Come to this one, 98, 2004. You can see house price in September 98, 134,000. It boomed 139%. Okay. And then the last boom that Brisbane had was in 04 to 2008. Okay. 312 median house price, 441 by the end of the boom. It was a 41% growth. So hindsight's beautiful, Richard. I bet you we'd all love to go back and buy this. No, it was probably expensive back then, but it's not in hindsight. So it's important to understand that as well, that between Brisbane and Sydney, there's almost $450,000 difference in our house price. Now, I get it, different population, bigger city, all this, but this has a big deal right now. This is a big deal, okay? So let's talk about the migration side of this element. Okay?
Sorry, before you talk about that, we were talking to the audience. A lot of people are feeling the same. The market is super, super hot right now. That's why there's a question from the audience saying, is this a good time to sell her apartment in South Brisbane? Probably you could. So from briefly, definitely not.
No, you don't want to sell before you make money. Okay, like this is look, I'm not going to answer this question now because I want you to answer your own question after the end of the presentation. Okay, so if you're listening, ask the question to yourself at the end of the presentation and you tell me if it's a good time to sell. Okay, so is that all right, Richard?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so look, I'm going to talk about the migration side. This is population growth, all right? One element, it goes up and it can go down, and this has effect on the property market. It's demand. Guys, it's so simple. It's like housing is a product, okay? Apartment is a product. If a lot of people want your product, what happens to price?
Goes up.
If nobody wants it, what happens to price? Down. This is simple economics. The same applies, okay? So when we're talking about it, we're looking at this figure right now. Okay, you cannot leave Australia or come into Australia right now. Overseas travel is banned, correct? Unless you get an exemption or you're a tennis player, okay? You get an exemption from the government, you're allowed to travel, but that's from the Department of Home Affairs, okay? Now, we need to understand what happened in 2020. And I was saying this, how many expats are coming back, and everyone's like, didn't believe how many expats because the figures weren't coming out, okay? In 2020, we had 743,960 net Australian citizens return home in 2020. Okay? So compared that to 2019, we had 36,940 net Australian citizens return home. Because remember, the only people that are allowed to come home are citizens, right? Expats. It's a 2,000% increase to the population of Australian expats that have come in. We grow by like 200,000, 300,000 people per annum. Like this is a huge growth figure. Now, who are they? Okay, who are they? They're not students. They're not low income earning. They've been earning big income. They're probably families. Okay, that's one thing you got to understand. All right, we've had a whole bunch of people come in one period, more than we ever have in one period. Next thing, we don't travel overseas. Okay, I can't go on holiday with my family and spend $20,000 on a holiday. Okay, I can't do it. It's $65 billion. $65 billion Australians spend in their overseas holidays every year. Last year, okay, to March 19 to March 20. 65 billion. People think about this. If you can't travel overseas, where did that money go?
Local.
That's right. If you look at where the recession, you remember this recession that everyone was saying that we had it for like 3 seconds. If you look at the reasons why we came out of the recession, the main factor was not how much mining we did or how much produce we produced. It was expenditure of households. Consumer expenditure, household expenditure went through the roof, okay? We were spending money locally. It's all come back into this country. So that's why I'm saying we are fat with money, okay? We are fat with money. So who are these expats that are coming home in record numbers, okay? It's a tsunami of expats have come here, okay? It's probably the best word to use. So what are they doing? Well, like anybody, if you come somewhere new and you haven't been living here, you're probably going to rent first. I said this. I was saying this last year. Remember, you're going to probably rent, okay? We're going to see the rental market have demand. We'll come back to that in a second. Or you're kicking out your tenants to move into the home you own. Because remember, some expats already own a home here. They're renting it. So what are they doing? They're kicking out their tenant. Go away, I'm living here now. Okay? Now, a survey was done of what expats who have returned to Australia in 2020 are doing. So what are you doing? Okay? Well, a big chunk of them found a job. Good work. A lot of them are still looking for a job. Okay? A lot of them are still working in their jobs, but in Australia, but they're overseas. And then a lot of them are building a business or pursuing investment opportunities and transferred to Office of Current Employment. So this is a big stat, Richard. Like, they are doing really, really well. And they're driving some property factors down, okay? So if we have a look at this is the new data that was coming. This is the data that I needed last year to produce, to say that what I was saying was true and coming true. Guys, as I said, everybody was going to leave Victoria. Okay, sorry for the Victorians. They're leaving you. Look at this. This is just a quarter of growth between March and June. This is old data. We haven't even got the actual data that matters yet. They were already leaving before the lockdown in Melbourne. Okay, 44% increase in Queensland population. Look at everywhere else. This is only one quarter. Think about it. It wasn't until September and December last year that we had a huge migration push of people moving, okay? The way you can find this out, guys, is call up a school. You call a school up here. We'll call a school in your local area. Are they accepting new enrollment? Are they at capacity or are you at wait list? Call a removalist company. I was calling them. How much interstate removal do you have right now? Guys, we are busy. I can't talk to you. Bang, hang up. Okay? And then the biggest one, guys, is your rental. We'll come back to that. So, look, this is what the population growth looks like at the moment. Remember, this is history. Now, there's some things in history that you can work out that when we boom, these are the boom times of Brisbane. Okay, remember I told you the boom times? These booms here. Every time we have boomed, guys, the common figure that we need is on average to have more than 30,000 people come in to Queensland. So if we experience a huge flux of migration, and you can see, right, people coming in, people leaving, people coming in, people leaving, people coming in, people leaving. Do you see this with my mouse, Richard?
Yeah.
You see the green? Look at Melbourne. Well, this is Victoria. It's gone from having lots of people to now losing more people. Then it's gaining. Okay, this is a very important figure. All right, you can see this is September 2020. It's not even the end of 2020 yet. Okay, and not even showing March 21. So what I'm saying here is one of the elements that we need, which is obviously the data is starting to show us and give us a bit of a fortune, is that we are seeing a big migration. That's people. People come here, you need rental, you need housing, you can buy. Okay, which brings me
just a quick question from myself, John.
Yeah.
With that more than 700 people came back to Australia, do we have a data shows where did they go?
Yeah, everywhere. Most capital cities, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, everywhere. Perth, Darwin, it's everywhere. Obviously, more probably Sydney, more Melbourne, more Brisbane than others. But the thing is, they come, then they move. A lot of them haven't actually stayed in Melbourne. A lot of them could come to Melbourne first, then disperse. And this is what the migration data is telling us, is that you need to know what's come in and then where are they going internal. So this is the best way, everybody. This is, I've always said this. I always believe this, and I still do. A really good indicator to understand about the future purchasing ability of a market is to always look at fluctuations in vacancy, rental property. If you can understand the rental market and how the dynamics of that move up and down, you can understand future demand. Now, what I've done here is I've just done a regional rental vacancy rate, okay, for just pretty much a lot of Southeast Queensland, all right? And the majority of Southeast Queensland is below a 1% rental vacancy at the end of December. So anything below 3%, Richard, is generally classified as an undersupplied rental market. Anything below 1% is what I would call catastrophic vacancy problem, meaning this article, like the ABC is showing, is that it is actually kicking people out on the street. Like it is, that rents jump so fast that people have to move further out for affordability or can't afford to rent and have to go into something smaller. Like this is it's a real element that happens, okay? So there is obviously, look at this. Prospective tenants offering $300 plus per week just to secure the rental property. It's happening.
I remember last year at the peak, we were at 4.6 at one stage vacancy rate, and it just dropped very quickly from 4 to below 1%.
Good indicator, really good indicator. Look at the drops. Okay, where have the drops been? This is nothing new. Lifestyle. Everybody's been talking about, I'm moving to lifestyle. Well, yeah, and look at the vacancy rate for lifestyle property. Gold Coast North, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast West, Gold Coast Main, Hinterland, right? All these markets that are below the 1% market are lifestyle property locations, right? Look where they were in December 19, before the pandemic and before this migration, right? This is what you call normal market, right? Look at it now. This is what you call inflated, like it's been affected. So this is a good crystal ball, because remember, if you come into a location, you're probably going to rent first before you buy. So we haven't seen the buyers that potentially they're going to come in the market. So between, probably I'd say June last year to where we are now, they're slowly coming in. Okay, it's creating an extra demand factor on top of home builder, first home buyer, all the incentives that we've got that we had to drive property and take supply off the market. Okay, now I'm going to keep going because we've got a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody's getting this and you can apply this for your market. Okay. All I've done, every time that we've seen a bottoming, this red line here, right, is the rental vacancy for Greater Brisbane. So you can see how rental goes up, then it comes down, rental goes up. Okay. So it means the supply and demand of rental properties. All right. You can see that as we've come into more of a market where rental is, renting property now is like it's a thing you do. Back in here in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, wasn't like you needed to rent, like there was still affordability in the market. Now you can see we've got a very consistent rental market, generally sitting, in this sort of mid 2% world, sometimes getting above 3%. So very consistent rental market. We don't have these big fluctuations like we had previously. Okay. Now, remember the booms, boom, 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 the three booms that we talked about. Every time before we had the boom, what did we have? The bottoming of a rental market, low vacancy. Look, April 1988, the rental market bottomed at 0.73% vacancy. Okay, that was the bottom. What did the property price do in that year? Boom, jump 47% in 1 year. Okay, 47% growth in the property price, Richard. You're nodding your head. Like I just made 47% growth in 1 year. Okay, yeah. Look at this, 2% June 01. What did property prices do? Bang, December 03, 43%. Right? Come down here, March 07, 0.9%, boom. January 08, 23%. Okay. We are now sitting in Brisbane at 1.3%. The figure has dropped even lower. You see what I'm getting at? So that's a figure that you have to take into consideration. Vacancy data is a really good crystal ball. It's one element, okay? Then let's talk about affordability, okay? Because you need to afford the property. Again, I'm taking the cycles. Hopefully this is all making sense. Okay, this graph here is what I would call it's what the affordability level is. It's called your MRI. It's not something you go and get a head scan, the MRI machine. It's your mortgage repayment to income, meaning a family income. What's your family household income versus the median house price of an area, okay? And then takes in the interest rates, the cost of living, etc., like that. And that calculates, well, you need, for example, in September 2017 in Sydney, you need 60% of your income to buy the median house price of Sydney. Does that make sense? So you needed 60% of your income to go towards the mortgage for that price. It's come down a little bit at 47%, 44.7% in Sydney, 37.8% in Melbourne. That's dropped from 47%, okay? And you can see Brisbane at the moment is the lowest in history. It is 29.8% of your family income to buy a property here, which is basically, it's nothing, okay? That means that it's never been a better time for people in Brisbane to buy because the cost of money is so cheap and obviously where the prices are. It's better than where it was in the boom in March 99, which was 30.3%. So the last time housing affordability in Brisbane and SEQ reached 30%, okay, of income, the market experienced a capital growth of 139% in that boom that followed. So I hope this is making sense, everybody. We have got three elements right now that are lining up. And this is what I say. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but let's say we do experience a 40 to 50% increase in the price of property.
That would be great.
Richard, you're smiling, that'd be great. Okay, good. So even if, right, the price in Brisbane and SEQ doubled, if it doubled, not 50%, it doubled, based on the current MRI and affordability, right, the rates of affordability levels in Brisbane would still be less than what they were in September 07, where we had a boom and it went up to 60.5%. It would still be less. So that shows we have capacity in the market from an affordability point for just people in Brisbane. This is not taking into consideration the investor in Sydney, right, who's probably got more equity, who's got more income potentially to buy here. That doesn't consider them. It actually is good for them, better for them. But it's just taking the people in Brisbane. If you had to buy on an average income in Brisbane, family household income in Brisbane, that is a huge state. Like, this is why, who said the market was crazy, Richard?
It's a few people. Yeah.
This is the reasons why. So I'm painting the picture of why. Now, guys, if we combine all these three elements, okay, we're combining them all, putting them together. We're making a cocktail. And it's an explosive cocktail, okay? And this is what's happening right now. This is a very exciting time. And I hope the person that said, should I sell my property right now, has answered their own question, Richard. Because not only are we expecting a big 30+ thousand year for migration in 2020, it's going to continue in 2021. Not only are we seeing extreme levels of vacancy rate in the rental market that we haven't seen since like 1988, where, remember the last boom, it went 1.5% average vacancy, it bottomed at 0.7%. It bounced 47% in 1 year. And not only that, is it never been a better time to borrow money, because you can afford it, means you can borrow more money. This is a very powerful scenario, guys, where, look, the last time we had this scenario, it grew 90% in 3.5 years and 47% in just 1 year. This is the scenario that we're in now. The only thing that's missing out of this, okay, Richard, the only thing, and everybody in the audience, the only thing that I haven't given you an analysis on is the supply of property. Because unlike previous booms, we just didn't have a home builder incentive annihilate all the off-the-plan apartment and land market. There's no supply. There's no supply. I hope this is happening everywhere, guys, not just in Brisbane. It's happening in Sydney, Melbourne. Home builders have taken all the stock off the market. There's no new stock.
We're definitely experiencing this.
Yes.
The land is really, really, really hard to find currently.
Correct. And so this is a very, it's a very interesting time. Now, this is going to cause a lot of this, this is already happening. If you're from Brisbane and you've seen the latest, media that's come out, like you've got the LNP, which is the Liberal government. We're a Labor government up here in Premiership, but the Liberal government, the opposition, is making some very big statements right now about this affordability problem that is coming. We don't have an affordability issue in Brisbane or in Southeast Queensland like Sydney or like Melbourne, okay? We know this. It's expensive. This is why people are moving. Because look, if you lost your job, we said this, right, Richard? If you lose your job in COVID and you're renting in Melbourne, what the fuck are you going to stay in Melbourne for? Right? They've left. They've left you, Melbourne. They're no longer there. They're not in your cafes. They're not eating your beautiful dinners. They're now up here on the Gold Coast, okay? They're in the sun. Now, this is something that's happened. Guys, you can argue as much as you want if you're from the States. I don't care where you're from. It's fact. It's happening, all right? And this is why, Marquee, we've been focusing very heavily on the Gold Coast. We've been here previous to that, all right? We know that lifestyle in terms of destination is there. Gorgeous weather, amazing food, all these things. Lots of reasons to invest, okay? But ultimately, when you talk about those fundamentals that we had in that boom cycle, it's actually happening in this market. And this is how I want to show you that you can take what I said about MAV and bring it to a market, okay? So we're going to bring it to a market now. Guys, when someone asks me, where do I invest? I always say, wherever the hell people are moving to. It's so simple. If people are coming, you invest. If people aren't coming, don't invest. Now, obviously, if you take that scenario, go to where a lot of people are coming. Now, look at this, because some people say, why should I invest in Geelong? Or why should I invest in Newcastle? And I go, cool, no problem. I show them this graph. And I go, for a regional city, well, this is the population growth of new residents between 2001 and 2019. This is the Gold Coast. You see Geelong? All right. Does everybody see Newcastle, which is this grey line? This is Newcastle. Okay. Look at the Gold Coast. Remember what I said, it's people that we want, right, Richard?
Yeah.
So the Gold Coast is actually growing 529% per annum more than Newcastle.
Even with this population growth, the regional New South Wales has still grown more than the Sydney Central last year for the first time ever, right?
That's right. So like a lot of regional growth has occurred across like Victoria. We know it's like a lot of people left. The question, like some of these people are asking, are they going to bounce back? Like, will we see bounces where they return back home? And the question is definitely going to be yes. We're going to see people bounce back where they've moved to the country town and it was good in COVID, but as things start to get back into some form of normality or our new normal, people get bored. Or they don't have the infrastructure, or they don't have the amenity, or the family's too far away, or they can't travel. This is why you've got to look at the city that you're investing in, okay? Got to be really careful that it's not just a quick blip, that it's a long-term growth. So that's number one. It is growing faster than most capital cities anyway, okay, the Gold Coast. It's on track to be 1 million people. I just look for where people are, all right? I go looking for people, but I need more than that because you can have people, but you need to know the magnitude of people, what we're looking for. So again, let's talk about the booms, all right? So the last boom, 13 years, look, last one was here. It's now here, it's starting, we can start to see the growth period, all right, of this market. It's already moving, guys. You've got to get in quick on this market. This is the house side. Then we've got the apartment, very quick market that is growing. If we look at rental vacancy, I hope you can see this graph because it is a really good example. And look, I've been saying this. If you're from Melbourne, okay, Richard, you're not going to go to live in Brisbane. I'll be the first to say it, everybody in the audience. If I'm from Sydney or Melbourne, why would I want to go and live in Brisbane? Like, Brisbane's a nice city, don't get me wrong, but Melbourne's a pretty cool city. Okay? Like, it's a good city. So if I want to go to a city, hopefully it's going to be better than Brisbane, unless I'm coming from like Darwin, right? Or Perth. Actually, Darwin's a great city. Perth, if I'm coming from Perth, I understand why you'd go to Brisbane. So anybody from Perth, sorry. But do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to do that. Whereas obviously Melbourne, but if I'm going to go to Melbourne to the Gold Coast, now that makes more sense. It's a different opportunity. It's a different life. And look at it. Can everybody see the rental market in Melbourne? This is the vacancy. And then look at the Gold Coast. Do you see a very similar trend?
Yeah.
One market, the Gold Coast is going down. Melbourne is going up in rental property, meaning more rentals available, less rentals available. You see this? I put news articles here, guys. It's already happening. And then look at your rental prices. So this is the house rent. Look at the price of housing. And then look at the vacancy rate. You see this? So guys, this is what you're going to be looking for. It's had a 22% increase since bottoming out in July 2020, which is the house price of the rental market. It's a big increase. That's a demand. All right. And then, you know, if you think about capital growth, every time, again, similar thing, you know, like we've got every time it drives in that market, we've got an experience where we start to get, you know, some different vacancy in how that market grows. But like, look at it at the moment, right? The vacancy rates here, we're starting to see some growth. Every time it bottoms, it works. But look, the other thing too is that I want to talk about the Gold Coast is that you've got to understand the employment market, okay? This is helping the Gold Coast right now, I think more after COVID, is that it's changed its employment node. Back in 2006, the retail worker was the #1 employer. Okay, so more people worked in the retail space more than any other industry on the Gold Coast. Okay, does everybody see this? This is the jobs. So you had retail, you then had construction, you know, then you had accommodation and food service like a hotel, you know, hospitality, and then you had the hospital, and then you had education. It was completely mixed up. Then we had the GFC, you know, and obviously who gets laid off first? Retail. Right? It has a big effect. Like this has a huge effect on the market. But what they've done is they've changed that. And look at, since they've changed it, health is now the #1 employer. Remember, if you know my presentations, I say med, education, medical, 2 biggest employment nodes you need to be looking for in a market. Okay? 2 biggest. You don't have them, don't look at that market because they're the only ones that technology, we still get sick as humans. We need hospitals and our children still need to be educated, okay? So they're the ones you want. Look at that. It's going to have a 238% increase in 2024 since 2006. That's huge. What does that mean for GDP? Well, currently it's at record. It's 37.2 GRP, not GDP, sorry, GRP. The output is peaking at 37.24, right, in 2019. That's a big deal. So we've got this output there of GRP. Now, guys, Marquis invested in this location. We got very lucky with COVID, but we've been investing in this location for well over 5 years because of the investment in infrastructure, okay? No other area for this size of its population has this much investment of road, rail, you know, airport, stadiums, art centers, you know, light rail, heavy rail, all these sort of things you need, like they're spending the money on it now in a very small population. So per capita, there's a very big spend here more than any other cap city. And guys, just to show it, have a look at this graph. The average growth in major project work over the next 5 years by region in Queensland, look at the Gold Coast. It's a 250% increase, okay? Look where Brisbane is. Even with all the things that are happening in Brisbane, the Gold Coast is huge. Okay, not much happening in the outback, not much happening in Mackay, Townsville. It is all pretty much within Southeast Queensland. Okay, This is big because obviously you want to be spending money. So guys, heaps of media about this at the moment. I don't think I'm talking about anything new, about what the media is saying about Southeast Queensland. It's tipped to be the #1 market in 2021. I think it's already proving that. Richard said it before. He said he couldn't believe the clearance rate of auctions. Everything's going to auction now, and then I think the Gold Coast is actually going to be the #1 market for a location, okay? #1 growth market. It will beat Brisbane. It's going to beat Brisbane for growth, I think, in both the house and the apartment market for sure, okay? Brisbane is doing really well in housing, but I think the Gold Coast is going to do extremely well because a lot of people want to live there. So I hope that explains that, Richard. It probably answers some questions before I probably talk about the project, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them. So
definitely. So with this Jessica is asking, the table referring to the vacancy rates and the booming for the following year, what is the average interest rate when the vacancy rate drop below 1 to 2%?
In those years?
Yeah, I think she's asking what's the interest.
Amazing question. Great question. Because I looked at the interest rates as well, and some of them have no effect because the interest rates, like if we know back in 1988, the interest rate, I think on average, I think it was like 15% interest.
I think the highest was 18% at one stage.
Yeah, it got high. But like on that boom period, if you actually look at the interest rates, they were high. Definitely in the 80s, a lot higher. And then we experienced a bit of a drop in the early 2000s, and then it went back up again. And now we're at, that's the thing too, guys. Like, and it's a good point, good question. We're at record low interest rates. Was it Westpac that's come out with like a 1.75% fixed interest? 1.75% fixed for 2 years. I think it's the first time the big four banks have been below 2%.
And some other banks are doing like 1.99 for 4 years fixed.
Yeah, 1.99 for 4 years. I just did a 1.99 myself.
For 4 years?
For 4 years. Are you crazy not to?
Yeah.
Everybody in the audience, if you haven't got your loan sorted again, go and do it. Quick.
If you have any loan, pick up the phone to ring the bank. Just say I want to refinance. They'll definitely give you the best rate they can. Definitely for your home, it's below 2% currently.
So Richard, I'm just looking at some of these questions, right? Yeah. Are you only projecting Brisbane market? Absolutely. In this one I'm doing, because guys, as I showed you, why am I focusing on Brisbane? It's because where the people are coming. Okay. Like, it's simple. We don't have international migration. You can't come in, right? So looking at Melbourne doesn't make sense to me right now because it relies on migration from overseas. Now it will come again, but at the moment, if I'm thinking, where are people coming? It's Brisbane. That's why I project a lot of Brisbane, all right? I'm focusing on where the money is. Will it be more positive for houses than units in Brisbane? Houses, I think, in Brisbane, definitely more than units in Brisbane, okay? But the good thing is when houses go up, units come with it. So if houses get to a point where they're too expensive, guys, units follow. They always come. So it's a good thing. They just come in different times. On the Gold Coast, however, and potentially also the Sunshine Coast, both, depending on what you're looking at. Okay, definitely both. Because see, you got to understand, if you're going to live, like, is there a demand for an apartment, say, between Brisbane and the Gold Coast? Who lives in the apartment? Now, the Gold Coast, more lifestyle, you've got a bigger demand, for example. So what do I mean by that, Richard? Like, I've got first home buyer, I've got downsizer, I've got investor, I've got lock and leave Brisbane, I've got lock and leave Sydney, Melbourne, and if you can come in from overseas, I've got the lock and leave Sydney, international. So you've got a magnitude of people, whereas Brisbane, probably more student, investor, maybe some first home buyer, but not a lot of downsizer. Because see, if I'm a downsizer in Brisbane, I'm not going to live in Brisbane. I'm going to go to the Gold Coast. I want the beach. I want the sun. I want the beautiful people. Like, this is the opportunity. Okay. Like, this is what's happening.
Brisbane are pretty beautiful as well.
Brisbane's beautiful. I get it. Look, I live in Brisbane, so I'm a bit biased to it. But like, I'm being also, guys, like, I live in Brisbane, but I'm realistic as to what's happening. I'm talking about the fact. Okay. So like, I live in Brisbane, but I just don't think that people are going to live in an apartment unless it's very expensive on the river. It makes sense. But to live in South Brisbane as a downsizer, unless you're still working, different. But if I'm retired, where am I going to go? You know, it's a different proposition, and that's equals to demand. Remember, all I care about is demand, right? When we're looking at a market, I want demand.
And Jessica is asking,
I think
how long-
last year in Gold Coast, house price increasing 7.8%, and apartment increased 7.2%. So it's very similar based on the last year performance. But on the other hand, apartments has a better rental return. So the overall performance based on 2020 house and apartment in Gold Coast is very, very similar.
Yeah, and that's the demand factor. Whereas if you looked at it towards Brisbane, very different. Sorry, Richard, just you were asking.
Yeah, so Jessica is asking, how long do you think the interest is going to stay low for?
So this is
At
a really
least for a year.
So look, I don't have a crystal ball. Look, and it's funny. Like at before the RBA got together this month, right? I was already hearing a lot of banking people saying, "Oh, they're going to lift the interest rates," and I'm like, "Bullshit." Okay, and I tell you why. Because you need income to come now. We need income to come. Like the banks may change the fixed rate, but the standard variable at the moment will probably remain very low for a long time. I think, see, like you got to understand, people in Sydney and Melbourne are probably more affected by this than people in Brisbane. Because see, if interest rates in Sydney and Melbourne increase, let's say they increase 4%, okay? Remember the average of the last 20 years is 7% interest, okay? Something like this. So let's say they go up 4%. I can guarantee you it will kill a lot of people in Sydney. Because you got to remember, they're not earning that much money. Sorry, Sydney, you're not earning that much money than people in Brisbane or Melbourne. You're actually earning the same. You're not having this big change, but your mortgage is huge. So this is the thing. My thinking is, I think we're in a low interest rate environment for at least the next 2 years, in my opinion. It will fluctuate. There'll be competition between the banks. They will try to, they'll do this, but I think the fixed interest rate will move. I think fixed at the moment is going to be low for a little bit. Only for a little bit. There's a really good opportunity now to fix your loan or parts of your loan or whatever. I'm not a financial planner, so don't hold me to this, okay? Like I need a disclaimer that says I'm not providing you financial advice. But what I'm trying to say is that I think the rates are going to remain a little bit low. And this is, again, going to push people. And then you watch, when the interest rates start ticking up, Richard, it will create a tsunami of buyers. Because they're going to, we're like students. We always leave our homework to the last minute. It's the same thing. We're going to leave it. And then once the interest rates start coming up, Lena's laughing. Once the interest rates start coming up, you watch people start getting, oh shit, I got to buy something. And that's what's going to happen. They'll fix it.
And also when interest rate goes up, that means economy is getting stronger.
Correct.
Yeah. That means, the situation is getting better, fundamental is getting better, and create more demand as well.
Yeah.
Philip Lowe from RBA already said cash rate is going to stay low for next 3 years. So as long as cash rate is stay very low, interest rate is not going to go very high.
Yeah, correct. So I think, I'm a big believer. I think you need income to come. I think you need to come up. I think, there's a lot of factors here. I don't think it's one that I want to make big prediction on, but I think it's going to be low for a while, guys. I don't think it's going to, I can't see us, it's too early. If you did this right now, not a good idea.
Great. I'm a bit conscious of time, John, because we're getting close to 8 o'clock. Still questions in the audience, but can we move on to the next part? If we have extra time, we'll answer a few more questions.
Absolutely. Let me share my screen, guys. So look, obviously, I'm working on a project launch right now. We're very lucky. We've been sort of obviously in acquisition mode on the Gold Coast for the last 5 years. We're very lucky because obviously we haven't paid what some of the new developers are coming into the Gold Coast doing, and they're paying. So this is the opportunity that we have at the moment. It is called One Cairns. It is an amazing project. And look, all this information, guys, is with Someplace. It is an exclusive opportunity that we've only just released to the market. This isn't available on the market via the Marquee sales team. It is only through Someplace at the moment. So great opportunity that we're doing. And as they said, there is no supply in the market. So when we think of this project, again, I'll quickly go through the marquee side, okay? Just that, you know, who you build through or who you're going to buy through in this environment is super important, okay? Even though the market is good, be careful who you buy through, because when a market gets good, okay, when the market starts to boom or cycle, you get a lot of what I call, you get, you know, what do they say? That people come out of the woodwork, you know, like a lot of the one-time developers come out. They have no idea what they're doing. Buy from someone reputable, right? Don't care if it's not marquee. Buy from someone who was here in 2007. Think about that. Were they here before the GFC? And what were they doing after the GFC? Okay, that's an important thing, because you're going to understand that who you buy through. Obviously, the family's got, you know, the Marquee family it's an amazing private business, lots of award-winning, lots of properties. Look, the key thing in this, every developer always says they do good quality, they have experience, blah, blah, blah. The best way to say this is that you can, if you deliver value though, and this is the culture of Marquee, it's all about value, okay? If you can deliver value for a customer, it means you've got good quality and it means you've got experience. And that's how I explain that. You know, offering value is not affordability. Offering value is what you get for the price. That is, makes it better than the competition, and that will make it grow in the future. Okay, that's a lot of things. It's not just about what tap fitting I get or what view I get. It's everything. It has to encompass everything. And that's what we do. We have amazing project track record, okay, particularly on the Gold Coast right now. We've been operating on the Gold Coast as a market, you know, for close to 5 years. It's been a market because we saw so much investment occurring here that we were tackling it. We got very lucky with COVID, and now we're bringing, you know, some great projects. So guys, all this is available for you to read. I've got all this information that this is my role within the business now, is to provide all this information, you know, to you. I want to introduce quickly One Carnes. It is an amazing, it is an amazing apartment project and community on the river, you know, nestled between Surfers Paradise and Broadbeach. It is on the main river. It is designed by Plus Architecture, and it is an incredible. I won't go through the video just in case it comes up, Richard. So maybe you can send the video out as a bit of a, if someone's interested to see the fly through. Yeah. But guys, you can see this is the location of One Carnes. Okay, it is actually next to a project that we're actually under construction and sold through 2020. We launched it just before COVID and we sold it out. Incredible opportunity called Carnes Waterfront. But you can see we've got Jewel to the east here, which is the Langham Hotel Resort and Dining Precinct. It's a 6-minute walk to the beach, but we are true riverfront, sandwiched again between Broadbeach, you've got Pacific Fair, the casino. You know, we've got the light rail right here on your doorstep that you can travel up and down the Gold Coast, okay? And you can see Surfers Paradise, you know, Chevron Island, the home of the arts, Isle of Capri. This is an absolute spectacular location. And when I think of this location, okay, yes, it has everything that I talk about that I look for in my own investments, which is obviously like, you know, jobs, the health, the education, the lifestyle factors that we want within walking distance. But when I think of this location more, it's about excess, okay? It's wealth. I like wealth. Wealth brings growth, okay? So we're talking like yachts, we're talking golf, we're talking beach, we're talking horse racing, casinos. This is what this precinct is about. There is a lot of wealth here, okay? And then when you go into that wealth, these are just some of the recent sales that have occurred on that river. It is Queensland's most expensive river, which the project is on, okay? So have a look at some of these sales, guys. 2021, 4.6 million, that's what it gets you. Now, I know if you're in Sydney and Melbourne, this looks cheap, okay? I get it, but for Queensland, it's expensive. And the most expensive house sale ever recorded in Queensland is actually on this river. It's just up here. This is where we're located. It sold for 27 million. And this is why I say it is Queensland's most expensive real estate, because there's no other market that has this much real estate on the river, okay? More than Brisbane. So let's talk quickly about the project. Richard, you might have to, I know I'm really conscious of time, so I'm probably going to go for another 5 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, no worries.
But, I'll let you guys can talk about, guys, the value opportunity that is here is not available on the market right now on the whole of the Gold Coast, okay? And particularly for this location with the views and its spot on the river that is protected, all right? It is a mix of 84 apartments, okay? So we've got 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. We've got starting from 669, that's the 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom starting from 959, okay? So a really amazing location. There is so much amenity for one complex, okay, for one community. Look, these are all the lists. I'm just going to quickly show you, okay, but we've got a 25-meter infinity edge lap pool that obviously is banking on the river. We've got a pontoon, a jetty, day beds that sit right off the pool, an outdoor shower, a sauna, cabanas, a full-size gym that includes a cardio room, a weights room, and a yoga and Pilates room, okay? As you come up from the street, you will see that we've just got this beautiful entry, okay, that allows you to come from the street and look at the river. And you can see the treatment, which is going to be lots of stone, amazing landscaping. Like, could you imagine running in that, Richard, in the mornings, looking at the river, okay? Or having a swim in that pool with the cabanas, all right? It is a really big space, okay? It's got over 1,500 square meters of amenity. And then if you go to the top level, so that was level 1, we go to our top level now, have a look at this. A full business class lounge, business center, work from home facility that you can use. Remember, what are expats doing? Okay, what are they wanting? Now, this is a facility that I mean, look, I know we don't need to work at offices as much. You just need Wi-Fi. That is a proper office, you know, that the residents can come and use from a boardroom. Obviously, this amenity that was provided, like coffee machine, fridges, tea, you know, book this out if you're a businessman, bring the team up here, have a business planning session, cater it, you know, do what you need. And that's just working through the property management. Come outside and be a bit more social, enjoy the nightscape, the nightlife. You know, we're looking at some amazing angles of views here from river to skyline to ocean. Okay, this has a magnitude of views. And the good thing, Richard, which I haven't said, is that every apartment in this building gets a river view, every single apartment. And a lot of them get a lot of ocean views, as well as obviously skyline and hinterland together. So it is an incredible opportunity. All right. We've got this outdoor seating area and zones where we've got like teppanyaki bars and kitchenettes. You know, we'll show you some renders of this in a second. A private, you know, residences bar, pool lounge, library, which you can come in. Like, the whole idea of this is that we've learned a lot, done a lot of research, and we want to promote people to actually live in a community where they get to know their neighbor. This is an owner-occupied community. We want this to be so that your next door neighbor can come and congregate and still have so much space. So you can imagine here, come up here, bring the drinks, get your neighbor to bring the cheese, come and watch the game on the weekend, enjoy it. Or if you want a private dining room that you can book out, have a party here. So guys, this is what it looks like. That's the views. Looking at a northeast aspect, which is the skyline of Surfers Paradise. You can see the Pacific Ocean as well as the river. That's a pretty cool space, Richard, that you can come and enjoy. Or private dining overlooking Jewel, which is actually a spectacular looking building. And it's lit up at night now. They've put neon lights everywhere. This is the private dining, guys. You can book this out, open up all this and really enjoy, you know, the views that we've got. Remember, we're only 17 levels, so we don't have the issue of balconies up here where they're too wind. You can't put anything on your balcony up here. As soon as you go over like 30 levels, everything gets blown off your balcony. Okay, so this is a really amazing part because we can open it up, not going to get blown away. Look at this for the business lounge, right? Incredible opportunity. Like, this is the boardroom at the back here, looking at the hinterland and the river in the background, right? Just another angle of different furniture. Guys, I'll quickly go through this, but I just want to go to the apartments. Every apartment in this project as well gets a storage cage, okay? So lots of storage. Again, if we're just talking about the apartments quickly, we've got 2 bedroom, 2 bath. We've got 3 bedrooms, okay? We've got 2 bedroom MPRs that are on the river, as well as 3 bedroom MPR. So the building is pretty much a 3 bedroom configuration, okay? I'm just going to just highlight a couple of the apartments, Richard. But check this out. This is a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. It has 21 meters of frontage. Okay. So that's 7 meters this way, 14 here. Floor to ceiling glass, 2.55 meter ceilings. You know, you come in, you've got a proper laundry with linen and storage here. Obviously the main with a walk-in wardrobe plus the ensuite. Even just on the outside, having a 15 square meter balcony. Okay, internally it's 84 square meters, 84, so it's a 99 square meter apartment. Okay, it is a spectacular apartment when you sort of look at the layout of its efficiency, particularly its size of frontage. You even get this little door that opens up to this room here to the balcony. This is what its views are like in a spectrum, and this is what its actual view is like on its balcony. Like every apartment gets a view. This is our price pointed one. This apartment start from 669, Richard. Okay, on level 5. So start on level 5. With these views, it's a pretty amazing opportunity considering if you look at the square meter rate, okay, for the unit. So Richard, maybe if someone's interested in looking at this, okay, and this opportunity, please give them the details. Okay, this is your other view, because remember we've got multiple views. You've got 21 meters of frontage. You've got a coastal view and you've got a river view. So pretty spectacular. You could imagine that at night, the skyline lit up. Absolutely amazing. If I just go to some of the renders, that's a 3 bedroom. You can see the floor to ceiling glass. Absolutely incredible. Okay, this to me is probably one of the most, interesting ones. This is a true river facing 2 bedroom MPR. You've got pretty much a 3rd bedroom here. It's a 3x3 bedroom, walk-in pantry, proper enclosed laundry. You've also got a dry bar here, which is beautiful. Okay, the separated bedrooms with the master obviously having storage, and again, the walk-in wardrobe that goes out to the ensuite. This is an incredible unit. It's 109 square meters, okay? Please, Richard, I don't want to give away what you guys have on that unit, okay? So I think if you're interested, there is an amazing opportunity that is only available through Someplace on this unit. This unit faces the river. It will not be built out. It has north aspects as well, which give you this beautiful skyline as well as that main river. And remember, we are looking at Queensland's most expensive real estate all in this location, okay? So guys, look, the guys can give you a lot of information. I won't go through it all because I don't want to give away everything that the guys can have. I just want to quickly share one thing, which is, as always, I always go through the competition. I know exactly what my square meter rates are, what the competition is doing in the market, and this is what One Carnes is. This is what you're paying per square meter. Look at the competition on the Gold Coast, okay? It is up to 11,000 a square meter. There is nothing unbeatable like this right now. Nothing that exists in the market, okay? I've gone through and you can have a look at Epsilon. You can buy a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 1 car that is 65 square meters internal for $10,000 a square meter compared to buying one here, okay? And look at the square meter rate, look at the size, look what you're getting. You're getting a view. It is endless. Please talk to the guys about this, okay? Because we do have incredible uplift in our project. If you're not familiar, please, Richard, explain to them what we do, okay? Because it is an incredible opportunity. But again, I hope that gives you enough about what we're offering. And if you have any more questions, definitely bring them up to me now. But also, please talk to the Someplace team. So I think that's pretty much it, guys.
Thank you very much, John. Yeah. So guys, like John said, this is a very, very exclusive VIP opportunity. John didn't share what the previous performance of the Marquee. We were involved with Marquee projects from 4 or 5 years ago. And this VIP process is not the first time we do it. Every time we do it, people bought in the VIP are thanking us for giving those opportunities to them. We are saying 100% uplift after VIP process. So the value proposition, like John said, is incredible. We are already the best value on the market, but on top of that, we are offering an even better value at the VIP time, which is next 2 weeks. So if you are interested to know more about these projects, feel free to contact us someplace, and you can jump on to our website to inquiry, or you can contact us directly. Okay. I'm a bit conscious of time, so
I've got a question with John. Yeah, John. There are, like, I can see in Gold Coast here, there are lots of apartments. How make our apartment, like the apartment you selected, outstanding compared to other projects? Like for other people to select these apartments, what's the unique feature with this one? How you think this one can outperform the other apartments? Because we know the project, the first clients, that was a fast-selling project in Gold Coast last year. Yeah. So why that project can be the fast-selling project? I know this one is even better than that one, but why this one? Why it's different?
Good question. Really good question. Thanks, Junior. It is, you're right. Like the ones that, the last couple of projects that we've launched, like Palm Beach, we launched, obviously Cairns we've launched, they've been the fastest selling projects on the Gold Coast, offering incredible value. Richard, you mentioned it. There is huge uplift between the VIPs that come in, and then as we obviously move through the project and sell it out. And that's why we do these events. How does someone choose this? And Junior, you said that there's actually a number of apartments available on the market. The thing is, there isn't. On the Gold Coast, a lot of what's actually been selling is actually old stock. It's been on the market for years. It's now just, there's such big buildings. And that's the key, is that you do not want to be in a project where you've got like 300 apartments, okay? Because then you've got short-term accommodation. You're dealing with different types of apartments, obviously competing with that apartment in your own building. The secret is location, then the design, and how many in the apartment complex. Are we targeting owner-occupier, or are we targeting investor? Now, Marquee always targets owner-occupier. We build everything for the owner-occupier, okay? And that is the winning formula for an investor or for someone to own. Like, we need to be going for that. Then you look at the amenity, we take in the location, and then ultimately, Junior, and you said it, look at the price. It's price. It is that value opportunity. We buy the land right. We understand the construction. It is about that process for us that is really important. We've been doing this, the guys at Marquee have been doing this for a very long time. And that it's that winning combination that you need to be looking for. As I said, who you buy from is really important. And particularly and let me just say this year, the going concern for any developer, the going concern is construction costs, okay? Construction costs, if you talk to any developer and ask them this, what is your number one concern for 2021? If they don't say construction costs, it means they're not in the market. They're not in there, okay? Because construction costs are projected to increase 10%. Now, what does that mean for property prices? Well, if construction costs increase 10%, who pays for it?
Buyers.
You do, the buyers.
Buyer.
So that means price has to go up to suit the development to happen, or nothing happens. So this is why this is adding to this environment. Okay, so these are sort of the predictions that we're seeing, and why now there's a very short window of opportunity to actually make what I think would be off the plan capital growth for this project. So this project is looking to start construction at the end of this year. It will be settling around the third quarter to fourth quarter of 2023. Okay, that's when it will be completed. And that is the opportunity where I think, what do you think the market could do between now and 2023 with those fundamentals that we talked about?
Yeah.
We saw this in Sydney, we saw this in Melbourne. If you're there, you know what's happened. There's an opportunity now in Southeast Queensland, particularly in the Gold Coast, to do this.
Yeah,
there's definitely a supply issue across the whole country. I've got buyers from New South Wales. He's looking at a house to live in Sydney. Meanwhile, he wants to buy an investment property in Queensland. He's struggling of finding both. Neither he couldn't find anything in New South Wales. It's getting crazy there as well, and he couldn't find anything in Brisbane, Southeast Queensland. It's really hard.
I'll tell you a story here. Yeah, I have a tenant. It's renting my apartment in Cooper Square. And she was paying me $310 because their apartment doesn't have car park space. And that was my first tenant, so I never increased the rent. Now this tenant is looking to rent a property in Gold Coast. So she has been looking properties for the last whole month. She couldn't find any property available. And I tried to push her out because my PM property manager already found a tenant willing to pay $380 per week. My apartment is only $320,000. So the rental return is 6%. And I said, yeah, can you go? Because I already secured a tenant. But she said, I can't find anything in Gold Coast. That's a real story that's happening at the moment. And for myself, I think this project I'm going to buy myself because the difference is because it's really like riverfront. There is nothing in front. That's a unique thing. Because we can see lots of apartments on the market, but it sometimes always have something in front can be built. But this one not possible. You can't build anything on the river. So that's a unique thing because no matter how many apartments, like even in future, but the one riverfront, like the real riverfront, is very limited. And that's the reason I personally would like to buy into this project. Another reason, as what John mentioned, this is like when we come to the apartments, we look at how many one-bedroom apartments in this building. If it got lots of one-bedroom apartments in the building, that means this building is for investors. But this one doesn't have any one-bedroom apartment. I mean, it's purely for owner-occupiers. Like, of course, investors, they want to buy into this. That means no competitions. And it only got 6 units in each level. That means each of them is very big, size. So I think that's very unique feature compared to all the other projects. And myself would like to buy into this project as well. Yeah. So that's personally, I think, Okay.
All right. So again, thanks everyone for watching. I'm sure you get a lot of information out of today's webinar. Thanks again, John, for presenting. Every time listen to you, learn a lot from you. Hopefully we can have you again in the next month or two. So guys, like I said, this is a VIP, very exclusive offer. If you want to get access to the project like this, please contact us directly. Have a good night. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
See you.